This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. I'm Seth Merrill. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate that. Coming up a little later on the show, regular Thursday visit from John DeSilva, racingwithbruno.com. We'll go back. Last week, our handicappers, our regular Thursday guys, DeSilva and Rodman, a couple of good days. So we'll give both of them a chance to go back and take a look at least one of their wins from last week. John DeSilva went 2 of 3. But in the race he lost, he ran second. He won the battle, lost the war. He took a shot against a very short-priced favorite and winds up running second, beating the short-priced favorite, who ran third. But unfortunately, another long shot came in front of him, but he won the other 2 races. Dave Rodman, 3 for 3 last week. So we'll take a look back and give those folks a chance to gloat. Although we're actually patting them on the back. They are not gloating. We're giving them some credit for what they did last week. But with John, we'll take a look back at one of those races. We'll also look back at the Ruthless from Sunday. We haven't had a chance to look back at Mamdouha yet, so we will do that. And we'll look forward to the evening attire down at Aqueduct on Saturday, as well as getting some selections for Aqueduct for this afternoon. Dave Rodman, same scenario. Take a look back at one of his selections from last week. Get some thoughts, Laurel, this afternoon. And happy to be joined, putting back into the mix with the opening of Oaklawn. We're sticking the Oaklawn rotation back in with us. Frank Miramati will join us today to give us some thoughts on Oaklawn and their racing for this afternoon. We'll also get some thoughts on him on their opening weekend, which was very good. Some good racing, some good numbers there attendance-wise. And we'll look out at their Saturday feature as well, which is the Pippin. Don't Tell Sophia. Looks like the horse to beat in that one. So previews, reviews, and 3 guys who are going to give you some thoughts for racing this afternoon around the country as well. I'm going to start the show off. I looked at this race on the Handicappers Report earlier. We'll just take a quick recap for folks who maybe weren't tuned in to the Handicappers Report. But I mentioned it yesterday. Going back to Tuesday, I looked at Turf Paradise on the Handicappers Report, and I felt I got stiffed out of an exacta a little bit. I had called a play of the day. One of my horses with an exacta box. One of my horses gets it done at 3-1, and the favorite at 5-2 was in the lead in the stretch. Gets passed by one of my other horses, who was my top pick in the race. Gets passed. And then the jockey is riding, but when he realizes I don't have a chance to win the race, I think he just gives up. So we'll see the video here. You're going to look at the horse in the middle. There are 3 horses across, and the one in the middle is going to wind up losing second. You can see the jockey, as he decides he can't get the win, he just kind of gives it up and stops riding and actually stands up. If you take a close look at the video, he stands up before the wire. And it was Galen Mitchell on Champsville, going back to Tuesday. And I said earlier, I'm not really I am kind of taking a shot at the jockey, but that's not the big issue for me. And again, you can see him, he's riding, he's whipping here, and he says, I can't get first. And he kind of stops, and boom, he gets caught for second. Costs me the exacta. So yeah, I'm taking a shot at him, but again, the bigger issue, which I addressed earlier, I would love to see, because this happens not just to this jockey and this racetrack, it happens if you watch racing enough, occasionally at other venues and other jockeys, obviously. But I would love to see a comprehensive stewards report on each and every racetrack's website. So we know, did the stewards see this? Because if they didn't, bad on them. If they did, let us know. And if they did, we want to know that they reached out to the jockey and said, listen, this can't happen. They called him in and had a conversation. Why did you stop riding? Let's get your story on this and report that in the stewards report. And I said it earlier. If you go over Europe and even more so in Asia and Australia, you read about this kind of thing. And this doesn't go over there. If a jock stops riding, doesn't ride through the wire, they will give that jock goes to the sidelines. And the penalties are often not inconsequential for rides like we just saw. But you just want to know, as a fan and a bettor, you watch a race like that, and did the stewards see that, and is something being done? And again, if it's being done, let us know, because that's the point of the stewards stepping up. They're protecting the integrity of the game and supposed to be protecting the bettors. So let us know something happened, and I would love to see that with comprehensive stewards reports, with which the technology of the internet and websites has allowed to something like that is so easy to disperse to the fans. And I said earlier, if folks want to know how to do it and do it the right way, pay attention to the Hong Kong Jockey Club website, which provides all kinds of information. But follow-ups by the stewards is just one of those. So again, I show that, and I'm critical of the jockey in that particular incident, but it's a much broader issue where I would like to see stewards at racetracks all across the country let the fans know when these type of situations happen. We're paying attention, and we are addressing it with the offending parties. Taking a look at some of the news over the past day, the world rankings, World Thoroughbred rankings have come out for 2013. They are put out by the International Federation of Horse Racing Authorities. It's called the World's Best Racehorse Rankings. If you haven't seen it, I link them on Equidaily. These just came out, so I didn't get a chance. They'll be up later today on Equidaily linked. But if you look up the International Federation of Horse Racing Authorities, or you can Google World's Best Racehorse Rankings, you'll come up with a list. And it's kind of an interesting, it's certainly, whether it really is the ranking of the world's best racehorses in the order they should be or whatnot, you can dispute that, because essentially it's kind of a handicap, and they're looking at, they're giving a number to each horse's best performance for the year and then ranking them like that. So it's not kind of the ranking you may think of for this type of thing. Still interesting. It's an international list, and it's still interesting to take a look at and see what the international authorities thought of the year past. They put them out quarterly, and again, the one most recently that looks back at the entire year 2013 has come out within the past day. Black Caviar and Trev are at the top with 130s, and we noted yesterday Sporting Life had that headline that kind of slighted Wise Dan with the 2013 year-end time form rankings, where Wise Dan was equal in those rankings to Black Caviar and Trev. In the World's Best Racehorse rankings, Wise Dan is just behind Black Caviar and Trev. Black Caviar and Trev both rated 130s, Orfev and Wise Dan right behind with 129s. You go down the list, there are some more United States-based horses. Tying at the 7th position are Animal Kingdom, Mucho Macho Man, with a couple of European horses. So we did have some representation on the list, again with Wise Dan, Animal Kingdom, Mucho Macho Man. They parsed them out. The list parses out obviously various divisions, and also turf racing and non-turf racing. If you go down to their 3-year-old division in the non-turf category, Will Take Charge is at the top with a 124 in there, Palace Malice with a 119. So again, you can check that out. It's, as I say, it's a little bit of a quirky rating system, but clearly, and some years maybe it's clearer than others that they actually wound up where there may be a consensus. This is one of those years. I think, Black Caviar and Trev certainly deserve to get all kinds of accolades after the seasons they put together, as does Wise Dan. But again, kind of interesting, a little bit quirky, but you can take a look at the World's Best Racehorse Rankings. And as I say, I'll have them linked a little bit later on Equidaily. Also, over the past few days, and I'm kind of going to go back, there were a couple of stories that I had in my pile that I didn't get to. This one fairly recently, within the past 2 or 3 days. But Churchill Downs has come up with a new Derby supplemental policy. And prior to this, if you hadn't paid the entry fees to the Derby in the normal time span, and you wanted to supplement your horse to the Kentucky Derby, you could do that. But you would only get in if there was an empty spot in the first 20 spots. If horses that had made their regular nomination fee payments were taking up those top 20 spots, you didn't get in. Now somebody can pay the $200,000 supplemental fee, and if they have points that puts them in the top 20, they'll get in. So they've changed things up a little bit to make it a little easier for somebody that maybe has a horse that gets hot late to get in. That said, you still have to chunk up the $200,000. So it's not cheap, but it has changed things up in an interesting way. How often that will play into things, I don't know, because I think if you have a live 2-year-old and then moving into the 3-year-old season, I think most people probably keep up with the nomination payments and whatnot, just because of the Derby being what it is. But that the opportunity is now out there. Perhaps if somebody has a late developing 3-year-old, they can get into the field now. Not cheaply, but they can get in. Rail Trip was retired. This one is from last week. This is a story from last week in Rail Trip, Grade 1 winner. Turned 9 at the beginning of 2014, retired with earnings of over $1.5 million, 9 wins and 27 career starts, and Rail Trip retires and is heading for Old Friends. So another nice horse headed to the Old Friends retirement facility in Kentucky, where there are plenty of very nice former race horses down there. If you ever get to Kentucky, stop over to Old Friends and make a visit. I have to admit, I haven't had a chance to do it so far, but we've had Michael Blown on the show, who founded and runs Old Friends, and he's a great guy and has put together a great organization. So Rail Trip should have a good retirement down there at Old Friends. All right, we will take our first break. When we come back, we will be joined by John DeSilva of RacingWithBruno.com. We'll take a look at some of the Aqueduct action for this afternoon, go back to last week as well for a little bit, and look out towards the stakes race. It's Saturday down there as well. The evening attire. All of that right after this.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
I'm Anthony Mormino. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now by John DeSilva of RacingWithBruno.com. Good morning, John.
Good morning. What's going on?
Not too much. Hopefully we'll get a day today with you similar to what we had last Thursday. And I said earlier on the show, both of our handicappers last week, very hot. You were 2 for 3, and then you won the battle and lost the war in one of the races. A little later on last Thursday, Dave Rodman with a 3 for 3 day. So we're looking for similar today, and we'll get to some selections for later today in a moment. Before we do that, what's your weather look like? I was talking to you off the air. We got a little snow up here.
Well, we did have some rain yesterday, but it's nice and dry right now. We should be in the mid-40s. Our track is listed as good right now, so there is some moisture in the racetrack, but we should be good for the rest of the day.
All right, and before we, as I say, look forward, I wanted to look back and just remind people the first race Last Thursday, you called Awake at T-Wire. Wound up to be only a 4-horse field, so a little chalky there. But then in the second race, you took a shot against the 3-5 favorite. And as they say, you won the battle and lost the war. You beat the 3-5 favorite with your 6-1 shot Sunday School. Unfortunately, another long shot got up in front of you, but it was still a nice call against, as I say, a very chalky favorite.
But I should have won the race, though. I mean, you look at Castro. He ruined that race. He should have won, but he was a little bit too tentative, and he didn't know what he wanted to do. And I think another jockey, if he would have won, we would have been 3 for 3.
Yeah, Castro has been taking a little heat from a lot of folks, it seems like, over the past few months. And so he was on board your horse, and as you say, it's 6-1. That would have been a nice one to get in there. But you took in the 5th race, More Than Victorious, little shot there, and we're going to watch the stretch run. And we're going to watch the stretch run because this was a very nice battle, but More Than Victorious is going to wind up as the number 3 horse in here, getting it done. We're watching him turn into the stretch here, and it's going to be an absolutely ding-dong battle down to the wire. You will win by a nose, however. Again, 2 for 3, and as you noted, could have easily been 3 for 3 as well. Although, looking at this race, could have easily have been 1 for 3, because this is a pretty nice performance, though. And just, whenever you come up the rail like that, it's always questionable. But, boy, this was a nice run for the nose victory.
Well, first, who knew that a Parks jockey could come up the rails, seeing how you always have to go on the outside of that racetrack? But Rosario Martinez did a very nice job. Let's also give Milan a nice job for holding, Rosario inside, because it looked like in mid-stretch he wanted to come out, and she just made it tight enough where he was forced to go in through that narrow opening on the rail. But it was a great finish, and luckily we were able to get that bob.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations on a nice day. We'll get some thoughts on this afternoon in just a moment, but I wanted to go back and get one more look at this past week of racing. Touch on a stakes race from the past weekend we haven't had a chance to look at yet, was the Ruthless, which was run on Sunday. And a good thing, I guess it took them a little extra time to fill. I think it was supposed to be the Saturday feature, but maybe they wound up working okay with the fog cancellation on Saturday. We wind up running on Sunday. Speaking of that, what's been the chatter down there on that fog cancellation? Mike Watchmaker's column, I think, stated what a lot of us think. The bar has been lowered for jockey cancellations.
I think the bar has been lowered. If you look at what we have here in New York right now, we don't have that leader like we used to have in the past who would make the decision, who everybody would follow. So I think it's basically, if one person doesn't like it, they just follow along with it, and that's it. Where you might have the other guy who might say, guys, let's try to make this happen or whatever. Because if you look at what happened in the cancellation, 5 of the 7 horses were saddled. The only 2 that weren't out there at that point were Jose Ortiz and David Cohen. Now, I wouldn't say that David Cohen is exactly the leader of the jockey because he's not, even though he's a veteran, there are other guys there with more experience than him in there, but I guess they didn't like it. They didn't complain. And for a young guy like Ortiz, it's a little surprising that was going on. And I guess once they start saying something, he says, okay, we'll just go along with you, and that's it.
Yeah, I had Jeff Carl on with me the next morning, and being a former jockey, he says in his day, and this makes sense, you'd go out and you'd ride at least 2, because then you get some more jockeys out there, you get a little broader opinion, and that seems like a pretty logical idea.
It is a logical idea. It's a shame, but at the same time, it is safety. You want to be careful. You want to make sure everything is done the right way. You don't want anything happening, because let's face it, after what happened with Dominguez last year, people don't want to take too many chances, even though there wasn't anything natural, that caused it. It was just an accident, but hey, it only takes one spill, so you'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of the articles that followed up the race, one of the jockeys also mentioned the track condition. So that becomes a little more significant to me than just the fog. But again, it may have worked out all right as far as the stakes race, because the Ruthless was scheduled to be run on Sunday, and they were back racing on Sunday. We're going to watch the stretch run here. It's going to be the number 5, Mamduha, getting it done for Kieran McLaughlin and Shadwell. Now 3 wins in 4 starts after this victory on Sunday. Just going to get it done as the 2-1 second choice. Summertime Friend, who's the 4-5 favorite in the race, going to wind up to be a disappointing 4th. But again, Mamduha now 3 for 4, and the career debut was a nice second-place finish. This is an ungraded stakes race, but, gutsy victory and the 3 wins and the 4 starts could be an interesting little 3-year-old filly to watch going forward.
Definitely, and the aforementioned Eddie Castro was on this one here. Hey, at least he did this one right. But let's also give credit to number 1, Vero More, because he is a horse who, 5 days prior to this, wasn't even going to be in the race because the horse was based at Parks and the horse couldn't get out of Parks. But because he lifted the restrictions, the horse was able to supplement into the race and was able to run and ran a very good race to be second. I think both these horses have a very nice future, but especially Mamduha. I mean, this horse, I think, really has a nice future. And I'm not saying we got another Princess of Silmar, but we got a pretty decent horse here that we could have some fun with in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Had made the run down to Laurel, which validated the talent as well prior to this. So we'll keep our eyes on Mamduha going forward. All right, let's get some thoughts for this afternoon. See if we can keep the roll going. We're going to kick things off taking a look at the third today. Little overnight stakes, $75,000 purse for New York breds. They are 4-year-olds and up. They're going to go 6 furlongs. Your thoughts?
Well, we're going to go with trainer intent here, and we have 2 horses who tower above the rest, which is Palace, and we have Moonlight Song. Now, if these 2 did run against each other on October 19th, and Palace was able to take advantage of Moonlight Song being hard used early, and when Moonlight Song was second, Palace was able to win the race in the Hudson Handicap, and I think the same thing's going to happen here because Linda Rice has bug juice in the race, being ridden by her niece Taylor Rice. And this is going to be a nice little litmus test for her because she's done well. She's 4 for 14, 9 for 14 in the money, and she's in there for one reason only, to make sure Midnight Song is hard used early so Palace can pick up the pieces. So if Taylor does her job the right way, it should set up for Palace.
Very good. And yeah, there was a nice little video profile on the NYRA website of Tyler Rice, and it was interesting. She said she graduated from college and really wasn't looking to get in the horse industry necessarily, but the economy went a little soft, and so being her family what it is, she winds up being a jockey. And as you say, she's riding okay so far at the meet. Limited starts, but so far so good.
And now she's going to be able to take advantage because Manuel Franco is a journeyman as of today. So there's going to be some new bug mounts opening up, and hopefully Roger Sutton can do the right thing and get her some of these mounts.
I didn't realize that. So Franco loses the bug today?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting, in fact, because I always like when these guys who are talented apprentices make the move. That first month is kind of interesting. See what kind of support they get, if they can keep the momentum going a little bit. So he'll be fun to keep our eyes on going forward. Fourth race today at Aqueduct, conditional claiming event, $20,000 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime. They're going to go 1.70 miles.
Now, talk about trainer intent here, talk about Taylor Rice. This would have been the perfect spot for Linda to put her on risk management, because this is a horse who had been running his optional claimers, had been tiring, but she sticks to Cornelia Velasquez, and to me, I think Linda also wants to make sure that Taylor doesn't get a bad rap, that she's not going to put on a horse that she doesn't think that she can help her do well. So to me, by Linda not putting on Taylor on risk management in 6 to 5, I think this one is a bet against. I'm going to go with something a little different, a little strange. I'm going to go with number 3, More 100 Acre. First time on the dirt, first off the Jenna Antonucci claim. We know she's a very good trainer. She knows what she's doing out there. This horse is bred to run on the dirt. I'm no surprise this horse never tried the dirt, being how much they paid for this horse as a yearling purchase in September of 2011. But at 12 to 1, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, interesting, as you say. First off the claim, getting on dirt could be a little bit interesting. One of the Ortiz boys on, that can't hurt, and a decent little price. So we'll see if we can get a little value here in race number 4. Let's take a look now out at race number 6. And when we were doing the handicappers report earlier, Jeff Carl was doing the handicapping, and as we came to this race, I said this is a fun little maiden special event race, maiden special weight race with a nice full field, and I think there could be a little bit of value in here. I'll be interested to see the direction you went. These are 3-year-old fillies. They'll go 6 furlongs.
There's definite value here because, again, let's look at trainer intent. We have number 3, Biddy Martin. First time out, ran third, hasn't been seen since September, has been working steadily. But the question is, if this $250,000 2-year-old purchase was that good, why isn't the horse down in Florida with the mainstream at Chad Brown? Then we had Todd Pletchett, Latin Tutor. coming up from Gulfstream Park after tiring. To me, that's a bad sign because, again, if this horse was anything, this horse would have been down in Florida. Obviously, coming up here, I think not only to find easier company, but if this horse doesn't do well, I think this horse will probably run the maiden claiming race next time out. I'm going against both these horses. I'm going with number 2, Cinnamon Jellybean. This is a horse for Freddie Velasquez. Ran second first time out with Jackie Davis, who's now riding at Parks this winter. Comes in with a bullet work, and now that the restriction from shipping from Parks has been lifted, Freddie Velasquez is probably licking his chops because this horse he knows could win a maiden race down at Parks. But when you have a $60,000 maiden race in New York, let's try for that one.
Yeah, Candy Ride on top. That's a horse with the breeding meant to win sooner rather than later. The speed shown last time, I think, bodes well for another good performance today. And as you note, the value, I think, will hold up because when you're in New York, Pletcher and Chad Brown are going to take a lot of action. So I think that number 2 is kind of interesting as well. All right, let's shift our attention now out to the weekend. The stakes race on Saturday is going to be the evening attire, $100,000 purse. 3-year-olds and up, they'll go a mile and a 16th. And John, while we're talking here, I pulled up some video from New Year's Eve down at Aqueduct. We're going to watch Cease win. And Cease win pretty convincingly in first start over the inner track surface in the career. Maybe a budding horse for a course kind of an angle here. Now, again, these were optional claimers, so that moves up the class ladder a little bit. But this horse has been in stakes company earlier in the career. And, in fact, a couple starts back was in the Breeders' Cup Marathon. Didn't show much there. But it, again, notable, nice big buyer figure, nice big 9-length win here in the first start over the track. Cease looks interesting to me, again, on that budding horse for a course angle.
Cease was terrific this day. Now, as you know, as you posted on Network Daily, how there's been a little controversy going on lately with Jacobson, how he's been running his horses, and that's another subject for another day. But this is a horse who could actually take advantage of what's going on with Top Pletcher at having Percussion in here, who I think adds blinkers, gets Chris DiCarlo to ride, and I think Percussion is going to go out there, show better speed, and with horses like Saratoga Snacks, in there as well, I think it could set up for Cease, even though you also have Long River, who has won 2 in a row, who draws the rail, has Ortiz, has been working well for this spot. I mean, that's the horse you're going to have to beat here, but if there is a suicide speed, Cease could easily take it.
Yeah, this is a very interesting field. You mentioned some of the other major players, and I'd also toss into the mix the Eddie Canelio runner, Cougar Ridge, who comes off a couple of nice wins, including a pretty good buyer number and a nice win on the Aqueduct main track. But Cougar Ridge is kind of interesting as well. I think it's competitive. Cease, if he runs back to that last one, I think will be very tough. But that last one was a little bit of an aberration as compared to the prior races. So what will we get on Saturday? We'll find out in the afternoon. Again, if it is a horse for a course kind of thing, but should be a fun race. And again, we'll do note the return of Saratoga Snacks as well. So nice addition of the evening attire. And John, before we let you go, last week has been interesting as far as 3-year-olds showing up both in the allowance ranks and in the maiden ranks around the country. We've had some nice horses to keep our eyes on. Also coming up on the weekend, we have the LeCompte down at Fairgrounds, and I know you look at that track for racingwithbruno.com. So here we are, first steps on the Triple Crown Trail. Anything interesting from last week or coming into Saturday with the LeCompte?
I looked at the Sham Stakes, for example, and let's give credit to Baffert for getting Midnight Hawk ready. The horse is still green, but still looked pretty good. I'll be very curious to see what they do with Midnight Hawk, because with Baffert, he's got, as always, a ton of 3-year-olds, and one thing we know about him, he's not afraid to ship. Now, he'll go wherever for a 3-year-old race, but now that this horse has points, 10 points going to Kentucky Derby, he could now look and try for a couple of spots here and there, get some seasoning, get some grooming, because the one thing we learned from last year, you want to get points early, and you don't want to do like Northern Invasion, where you have to get into a race just to try to qualify in there, because it's going to be very tough, because you're getting 4-horse fields right now for these 3-year-old races. Come February, it's going to be 10 to 12-horse fields. Yeah. This is going to make it more difficult.
And that was the thing. I came out of that race on the weekend, the Sham, because of the 4-horse field, I just wasn't sure. The performance was interesting. I thought at the top of the stretch, Midnight Hawk would run away. And then he did get a little green and seemed to think maybe the job was done. But as he got re-engaged, well, we refocused and looked good coming under the wire. So I give him credit for that. But yeah, 4-horse field is a little bit of a different animal than he might find. But subsequently, again, those were my first impressions. Seems like the buzz has been pretty good from most everybody on Midnight Hawk. So again, it'll be interesting to see where Baffert goes with him. And I will note again, the weekend is going to be very interesting with that Lecomte. A Gold Hawk is a horse I like very much, but there's also Albano in there, and they have a great stakes card down at Fairgrounds this Saturday as well. But
and Seth, what do you think about the Constitution?
Yeah, absolutely.
At Gulfstream Park. I mean, he is a horse who the workout showed that he did have some gait trouble in the past, but showed some talent. That he didn't break that great. But the way that horse came up and was able to beat Juba, who also, by the way, was supposed to run in December, had a little accident in the morning of his race in December, had to scratch, missed some days of training, came back. Both those horses, I think, definitely have a very nice future. But the Performance Constitution, if that horse ever learns how to break from the gate, watch out.
Yeah, and then, over at Oaklawn, right on Curlin, Paganol, Bourbonize. I mean, some nice horses, as I say, both in the maiden races and those first-level allowance and whatnot. We're on the Triple Crown Trail, and it's going to be fun. And, Barati for McLaughlin up in New York, I think is going to be interesting as well.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, the 3-year-olds, I think, are starting to show that they're going to be real good, and with shared belief, some people, believers, aren't believers, are losing New Year's Day, Honor Code coming back probably, in the Fountain of Youth. I mean, we have a lot to look forward to, but at the same time, you need to get some of these horses ready to go. And as we saw last year, and I think Tom Pletcher and some other people learned the hard way, you need to get them ready to run. You can't give them a race. If you're going to go into a stakes race, you need to earn your way because you can't take chances.
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines with that last prep being your only shot. All right, John, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, folks can go over to racingwithbruno.com for your selections. Appreciate the visit this morning. And again, congratulations last week. We'll see if we can keep it going this week with your Aqueduct selections. So good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks. Good luck, everyone.
All right, John DeSilva, racingwithbruno.com. We'll take our next break. When we come back, Dave Rodman from Laurel Park. Stay tuned.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today. Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Thursday morning means a regular visit from Dave Rodman. And as noted earlier, happy to have Dave back on the show. Red hot last week, Dave. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Seth.
I don't hear Dave.
Everything's good. We got a little sun out, and I'm here up in the booth now, and they're harrowing the track. So, I mean, they're going to call it fast, but really, when you look at it deep down, there's still a bit of moisture in there. So, the good news, it is harrowed. I have a feeling it might be a little deep today. I'm not real sure, but the weather's been strange, and I guess I kind of jinxed our record of intact racing last week. I shouldn't have said anything about no cancellation.
I was going to say just that. We jinxed them last week because the cancellation on Saturday. But as I noted, you know, it's funny. We think of the cold weather as being what does it, and of course then the weather warmed up. Well, the warm weather cancels at Aqueduct with the fog, and you guys, and I said a couple of days ago, part of that is that the change in weather is really what can affect maintenance crews, because the thaw, you know, freeze, thaw, that's what presents a real problem, and I think that's what caught up to Laurel on Saturday.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Actually lost a couple of days of training last week here at Laurel, and one day a few days prior due to the cold weather and trying to keep the track in tip-top shape. But, yeah, I mean, it happens now and then, but really that's a rarity for here. I'll tell you who called it properly is one of the guys here that works in our TV trailer, Greg Smith, who used to be a jockey. And, you know, he said, you know, they might have some problems on Saturday because we gave the crew a tip of the hat on our Wednesday show here on handicapping. You know, what a great job they did. And you know, sure enough, he said, you know, that freeze-thaw thing might catch up to him Saturday, and it sure did. But the track's in great shape today. Again, they're harrowing it right now. Looks like there's still a bit of moisture in there, but it's going to be in great shape.
Very good. And we'll take a look at this afternoon's car in just a moment. But again, I wanted to go back and just tip the cap to you. 3 for 3 last week. You started out in the second race. And in the second race, you had a top pick that scratched. But you noted with us last week, you mentioned your top pick, and you said, also look at. And the also look at horse was Dark Voyage, who gets it done at 4-1. Trevor McCarthy on board. Fourth race, you picked Litigious. Chalky pick there, but for folks paying picks and whatnot, that plays into it, and that one gets it done. And then, Dave, we're going to watch the stretch run of the 8th race, where your top pick, the number 5, Brenda's Way, gets it done, paying $11.60. Gets it done pretty easily, too. Nice 9-2 price, getting it done like this. This is what you like to see. Trevor McCarthy on board this one, too. So Trevor McCarthy came through for you on Thursday.
Yeah, I had a couple of riding triples last week, back-to-back to Trevor McCarthy, and started off yesterday with the winner, and, you know, looked like he was going to continue that. He had several live mounts, but big week for Trevor, a big week for Speed as well, and Trevor sensed that, and trainer Damon Dilladovico kind of gave the instructions, go, get out of the gate. This last time she got in trouble, as you recall, we mentioned on the show, and the race was a little short for her. 6 furlongs, 7/8, kind of her best distance when she can grab that lead. And so it was a combination of things, you know, grabbing that lead early, no trouble out of the gate, no getting shuffled back this time into the turn. But one of the speed days indeed here at Laurel Park, January 9th. I'm looking at a list right now. If you want to make notes, January 4th, January 8th, January 9th. January 4th, particularly the first 5 races were basically speed. Then the track got a little strange later in the day. It almost played like a muddy track. We did have a couple of closers in there. But speed did dominate, and that was our streak of cold weather here that may have had something to do with it. Normally this track's pretty fair, and in October, November, even some dead rail days, or lesser, you know, not the place to be type days for the rail. But yeah, January 4, 8, and 9. We'll see how it plays today. Yesterday was strange, too, Seth. We had speed early, inside day, the first 4 or 5 races, and then as the track kind of started to dry out a little bit, we did see a couple of closers rally late. So pay particular attention to the biases here at Laurel in this first week or 2 in January.
All right, and folks will get a chance to get a look at some of the biases early before your first pick comes online, because you're looking at one in race number 4 to kick things off. 4th race today is a B-level claimer, $30,000 to $35,000 tags. They'll go 1 1/16 miles. Your thoughts on race 4?
I like Hugh McMahon's got a lot of live horses in today. He's got one up in New York, too. No Means No, by the way. I haven't looked at that horse yet, but kind of have that horse tracked from down here. But one of the McMahon horses today, number 5, Count to 7, who was claimed for $15,000 late November, ran back once in a day where maybe the outside could have been the best part of the track. Cool Under Fire caught an extremely wide trip that day, way outside, and wins over Paige McKenney. There's been a winner out of that race already, Always Smiling, who was down inside there. Now, Count to Seven was wide that day, out 5 deep, but I thought that he ran pretty well in that stretch, especially the final 16th of a mile. Good rally late between horses, good game effort. That's what I like to see. He's been closer in the past, and I think he's going to be effective today. Number 5, Count to 7 in the 4th race.
All right, and out of the Hugh McMahon barn, I had Jeff Carroll on with me on the Handicappers Report earlier, and Jeff was looking at Aqueduct. He had No Means No in his mix and reminisced a little bit about his riding days with Hugh McMahon.
Jeffrey with Hugh McMahon, really?
Yeah, said they were riding at the same time. 8th at Laurel today is an optional claiming event, 25 tags, non-winners of 2 other than the condition. They're going to go the 1-turn mile.
Okay, we haven't had a 1-turn mile race here in a while. You said that, and I had to do a double take for a second there. It's been a while, very few in January. I'm looking in here at number 6, Cross Mountain, another Hugh McMahon runner. I'm going to make her the best bet of the day here. CC Gold had kind of a spotty record down inside. Miss Homecoming Queen, I think she's more of a turf horse. Chance Encounter has gone from barn to barn, and her numbers are up and down. I guess she's the one to beat. But number 6, Cross Mountain, I thought ran quite well last time out at 7 furlongs. And she almost ran like Count to 7, a little lag behind early. What I like about her is not necessarily her dirt race, but the turf here, 3 or 4 back when she finished second, she had a buck to bias on the turf. That was a speed day on the grass, and she's proven effective on the main track. And again, I think that the track has a little bit of moisture in it, even though it's going to be rated fast, and she's got a good wet track, so to speak, record to win, a second, and a couple of thirds on it. I like the way she motored home, and a good gallop out there for Cross Mountain. How much speed in here is the question in the short field. Really right, probably will try to go. I mean, she almost was too aggressive last time out, and we'll see what kind of tack they play with her today. But Carrietta certainly has no speed. Miss Homecoming Queen that doesn't. Maybe CC Gold will be sharp, but I like Cross Mountain. She's in form, second off the claim here with a good, strong finish last time out.
All right, we're looking for a good day from Hugh McMahon. We'll wind things up in the 9th and final, a maiden $20,000 to $25,000 tags. They're going to go 3/4 of a mile. Your thoughts on the finale?
Well, it's all about you. I like number 3, Baby Titan in here. It was a $200,000 purchase there for Windstar Farm. Didn't pan out at Keeneland and Churchill in the Pletcher Barn. Transferred here, followed the eventual winner of his Laurel debut, December the 20th. Lulu Had a Baby, step for step into the far turn. Then in the stretch, just kind of flattened out. The question is, how long did you have this horse in his care since the transfer from Churchill? We know probably at least the first week in December, because he worked November 16th Churchill, worked December 13th at Laurel. I think the second time's the charm here. They're going to drop him down, put him where he belongs here. And very important is the fact that not only did he follow the winner, Lulu Had a Baby, but a horse that's been pronounced 3 different ways, XI, which is either ZZZ, Zai, or She, whichever way you want to pronounce it, came back to win out of that race. The New York shipper came down here, failed, went back to Aqueduct, and galloped gate to wire in the very next start. That's a Zayat horse. I forgot who trains it, but you probably remember. But that horse is that race is turning out to be an okay race, and I like the fact that Baby Titan followed that move of the winner and drops in class and is up against a couple of horses who really haven't had much follow-through lately. For instance, Exclusively Greek, and especially Brett's at Caddies is going to suck up a lot of money, I think, at the windows because of some good buyer figures and the connections as well.
All right, so you are looking for a big day from Hugh McMahon. And I like that you talked about ZZZ, or however you pronounce it, because when that horse raced last week, I mentioned it on the show, and I said I hadn't seen any of the races, so I'm not sure how it's been pronounced, and I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah.
Now I know I could have guessed anything and been right.
I don't think it, well, I actually, it's weird. I did call, I looked up Zayat Stable's numbers, and whichever way I pronounced it, I forgot. It's what I stuck with. That's what they told me to do. But then I think John Embrial did it another way, and I don't know. It's a mystery so far to me.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's we do know it's at least XI, right? Nobody's done that. Maybe we'll do that next year and back down here.
I
want to mention, too, Seth, that King Leatherberry does not have a horse in today, but he's one win away from tying Jack Vanberg for fourth on the all-time win list.
Oh, great. We'll keep an eye on that. Absolutely.
6,417 is the magic number. Nothing in tomorrow that I could see, but Saturday, I believe he's got 3 in Saturday here at Laurel Park for the King, and that's quite a number, 6,417.
You aren't kidding. All right, we'll keep an eye on that, no question about it. Dave, as always, appreciate the visit. Good luck this afternoon. We'll see if we can keep the roll going, and we certainly will if Hugh McMahon has a good day. But again, appreciate the visit. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, he's got a lot of live runners in. Thanks, Seth.
All right, Dave Rodman from Laurel Park. We'll take our last break of the hour when we come back. Frank Miramati, Oaklawn Park, right after this.
I'm Jeff Carl. Join me Saturdays and Sundays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the weekend in racing. That's the Handicappers Report. Weekends at 9, only here on the OTB TV network.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Still reaching out to Frank Miramati from Oaklawn Park. Want to touch in with him, get some of his thoughts today, and also on the weekend for the Pippin Stakes. And we will do that when we get to him. There's certainly, we had him on with us on Loose on the Lead on Sunday, and he looked back on the first couple of days of the meet. So far, 3 days into the Oaklawn meet, some good numbers. They had a little weather blip on opening day. It was a little bit rainy and whatnot, track a little bit sloppy, but I think the attendance numbers are pretty good. Saturday, I think, was 16,000, something like that, and Sunday also good. Nice stakes action over those days. And as I mentioned earlier, certainly on the 3-year-old side, maidens and in allowance events, some nice 3-year-olds perhaps to keep our eyes on. Speaking of which, they kick off their 3-year-old series on Monday. Monday, of course, a holiday, Martin Luther King Day, and the Smarty Jones kicks off their 3-year-old series down there at Oaklawn. So that'll be very interesting. On Saturday is the Pippin. That'll be their stakes race down there. Kind of a fun field. Short field for the Pippin. Only 4 entered, but a fun field with Sister Ginger for Steve Asmussen. Asmussen, you always got to pay attention to down there. Don't Tell Sophia, who is the defending champion, and some others in there who, as I say, make it a small but potentially competitive field, although I think Don't Tell Sophia probably has a little bit of an edge on that particular bunch. Just check in with the guys in the control room. Any Frank yet? No Frank so far. Okay, so we're still reaching out to Frank Miramati. While we're waiting, we'll have Brian Spencer on tomorrow from Fairgrounds, so we'll certainly touch on this with him. But as I noted earlier, a really fun stakes card down at Fairgrounds on Saturday. Things will kick off with the Louisiana Handicap. Excuse me, $100,000 purse, mile and a 16th. That race is going to be fun because it brings back Prayer for Relief. Prayer for Relief, who started the career in the barn of Bob Baffert and was kind of a second-level 3-year-old in his 3-year-old season, hitting those second-level derbies around the country, put together quite a bit of money. And I said, after he won the Tenacious at the end of December down at Fairgrounds, I said, here is one of the most under-the-radar horses you can think of that's won $1.5 million. Prayer for Relief, pretty good winner in his first start over the Fairground surface, again in that Tenacious handicap on December 21st. So I think he's going to be the one to watch in the Louisiana handicap on Saturday. The Colonel Bradley also will be run on Saturday. Hopefully things get sorted out on the grass down there because they have a couple of nice grass stakes races, and the Bradley is one of those. The Bradley is interesting with Daddy Knows Best coming out of a big closing effort in the Diliberto Memorial, again on that December 21st card, which was putting together some stakes races that were essentially preps for this coming Saturday afternoon. So Asmussen and Daddy Knows Best, the very nice off the pace win in that Diliberto. David Flores, who had been riding so well for Steve Asmussen, was on board that day. He's over in Singapore now, but they pick up a pretty able replacement, Rosie Napravnik, who again, another season of riding very, very well down there at Fairgrounds. Speaking of which is also going to be interesting in the Colonel Bradley. Speaking of which comes in for Christophe Clement off a win in the Tropical Turf Handicap down at Calder. Number-wise, Daddy Knows Best maybe has a little bit of an edge, but the big number for Daddy Knows Best was over the Fairground surface last time. And again, that surface has been so quirky, I'm not quite sure how much belief we can put into those numbers. So speaking of which, I think is going to match up pretty well for Clement. Also on Saturday down at Fairgrounds, the Silver Bullet Day. A couple of horses in here that will be fun to watch. One of those, clearly, Divine Beauty from Larry Jones and Brereton Jones, coming off of that, again, that December 21st day where there was a lot of prep-type races. This horse won the L'Atelier and did it pretty convincingly with Rosie Napravnik on board. Some nice breeding, couple of nice starts so far, 2 nice wins, including that convincing win last time out right here at Fairgrounds. So Divine Beauty is going to take probably most of the action, but I wouldn't ignore Unbridled Forever, who couple of starts so far. First start at Churchill Downs, just seemed to get an education out of that, and then followed up with a very nice win on November 30th. And again, that was the traditional Churchill meet, which I think produces some very, very salty 2-year-olds year in and year out. So the Silver Bullet Day is going to, I think, be a fun race to watch, because I think at least a couple of these have the potential to come out and go forward as very nice 3-year-old fillies. The Marie Krantz, again, another turf stake, so we hope that things on the turf kind of hold up. Starstruck for Larry Jones. This is a race that there isn't a super standout, but I think Starstruck from Larry Jones is going to attract some attention coming out of the Cardinal at Churchill Downs. I always think that race is very interesting and produces horses that you have to kind of keep your eyes on in their next 1 or 2 starts. So just coming out of the Cardinal last time attracts a little bit of attention for me. Bluegrass Sapphire, a nice second place finish on that December 21st card. Should have this one being live on Saturday. And Channel Lady, who will probably be the other Larry Jones off the July layoff. But I think this is a horse that moving into the Larry Jones barn, out of the Todd Pletcher barn for Calumet Farm, Channel Lady could be kind of interesting on Saturday as well. And of course, you can't ignore Maker and Ramsey with Always Kitten. So I think this one, again, we hope the turf holds up, because I think this could be a fun, competitive race with some real value, the Marie Krantz Memorial. And finally, the Lecomte, and that's the one we're really looking forward to, because that kicks off the 3-year-old trail. down at Fairgrounds, which I think this year is going to turn out to be very, very salty. The horse I've mentioned a few times over the past couple of months, Gold Hawk, who I picked up on in the maiden win. The same connections, Asmussen and Winchell had won with Tapiture, the Kentucky Jockey Club, down at Churchill on November 30th. The race right after that, the final race of that day, was a maiden special. Gold Hawk was debuting there, won pretty convincingly that day, followed up with his first two-turn effort on December 27th right here at Churchill, and an allowance, optional claimer, non-winners of one other than, and won that pretty convincingly. So I think Gold Hawk, to me, is one I'm really keeping my eyes on. The sibling to Mark Valesky for Larry Jones and Brereton Jones, Albano, is going to be competitive in here. Vickers in Trouble for Mike Maker, who broke the maiden pretty convincingly, but in a Louisiana-bred maiden special race. So nice number, convincing victory. Probably should fit with these, but we'll get a little more of a barometer on Vickers in Trouble on Saturday. And then Plug Catcher for Brett Calhoun, who also could be a little bit interesting. So LeCompte will wind up that stakes card, Fairgrounds on Saturday. Very competitive. Going to be exciting, the 3-year-old race in particular. And as I say, we'll talk more about that with Brian Spencer, the paddock commentator from Fairgrounds, on tomorrow's show. All right, we missed making contact with Frank Miramonte, but we will have in the mix from now on Thursdays a regular rotation of folks from Oaklawn Park. So we'll hope to have them on board for the debut effort on next Thursday's program. Until then, we're going to wrap up this edition. Racing Across America here every Monday through Friday from 10 until 11 a.m. A little earlier on the morning, we were in the Handicappers Report, Jeff Carl and I taking a look at Aqueduct and Gulfstream. Hopefully we gave you some good information. Cash a few tickets this afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll see you then. More Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.